My heart is pounding, by the way, right now. Anyway, how is everybody doing today? I hope you guys enjoyed the background music, because, yeah, I think I'm definitely taking, the Kurohyo 2 Final Boss theme as my new anthem from now on. And yes, it does mean I'm going to be playing the Yakuza spin-off games at some point. So expect that in the coming. Hey, Elena! How you doing? Anyway. Well, this is what I look like now. Courtesy of Plant Sage, also known as Fungi Mad Guy, who did a absolutely amazing job with me. Because I mean, look at me. It's not even like I look badass. I'm just adorable. Bitch, I am adorable. Oh, yeah, but while I am showing off the new me, let me just show off some of the features. Namely, oh yeah, by the way, if you haven't followed me yet or subscribed, you should do that right now. Besides, you don't want to support me, do you? Dagda in the streets versus Dagda in restricted. That's a good way to put it. But yeah, I have a lot of features for this new model. Namely, you see that t-shirt that I have right now? The one that I've been wearing on my Discord reactive? I can actually change this. For example... I mean, come on, I had to have this. I've seen how some people rule over me. I needed this. But I got the Aeon logo. Werewolf trainer. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that Fungi didn't have a toggle for me to take the shirt off. Because, yeah, somebody would ask that. Yeah, I feel like two-seater might be a bit too big. But, other thing I can do, just instant toggle of shirt colors. Now, I'm sure there's more stuff I could figure out later on. But again, Fungi just did a lot of good work with this. Anyway. Sadly. What's the sadly for? Oh, for violating Twitch policy. I mean, I'm wearing pants for once. This is actually the most clothed I have ever been. Like, I just want to stress that, for as corny and lewd as I tend to be, how does the second dimension feel so far? Honestly, it feels more natural for me, I'll be honest. Like, the lip sync isn't quite as good, mostly because, still trying to figure out how to properly configure that with VTube Studio. But, I mean, I like it. Anyway, so I guess now's as good a time as any. Should we get to the introduction part of the stream? Oh, let's switch scenes for a moment. Hold on. Nacho has a guide using V-Bridger to find you. I don't know how to use V-Bridger though. Should I get that after the stream then? I probably should do it. Anyway. Let's see if I can start a guaranteed argument. Let's pull up the PowerPoint. Because there are some that I'm a bit suspicious of, shall we say. Oh yeah, by the way, what do you think of the screen background that I got now? Makes that a bit more dynamic, don't you think? Yeah, go ahead and just throw me a DM on Discord. That'll be the easiest way to do it. This PowerPoint is... Oh no, I'm gonna fail. Anyway, welcome to my god-awful PowerPoint. Everybody blame PowerPoint pen sheet for this. If you don't know who that is, I mean, YouTubers, don't worry about it. I'm pretty sure if somebody Googles PP10 sheet, they'll figure out who it is. Better cover proper dragon breeding technique. No, that's for the after party, Zach. Anyway. Sparty's getting the Amazon ads again. Anyway, welcome to your new Demon Dragon Overlord. I am Dagda, and let's run through some of my favorite things. Since I am a variety streamer, primarily for video game, let's go over a 3x3 presentation of what my favorite video games are. You got a fever, Sparty? Is the only prescription more cowbell? Anyway, let's go over my favorite games. I feel like there's only one of these that there might be an argument on, and I don't care. Actually, there's two of them. I prefer Metal Slug X out of all of the Metal Slug games. I know 3 is normally the favorite. I like X better. Mostly because of that music, though. 3 also had really good music, though. SNK in general has a lot of good music. But yeah, Metal Slug X is my favorite of the Metal Slugs. By the way, in case you're wondering how I decided on them, generally it's just what I thought was the best overall package, in my opinion, or the best, We'll get to it, Sparty. We'll get to it. Next one on the list. Elder Scrolls. Morrowind. Morrowind specifically, because I love the atmosphere, I love the setting, the combat's a bit jank. But you know, that's what you dealt with at the time. You had to deal with bad combat if you wanted to play RPGs back in the day. I mean, look at Gothic. Gothic is a widely loved series in the combat and status form. Next one on the list, System Shock 2. I was debating doing the first one, but honestly, System Shock 2 is just better in every way, shape, or form. Especially in the music. God, I love the drum and bass soundtrack in System Shock 2. It is so good. I can't wait until Ferris gets around to doing it. Because, especially like engineering, even medical, like the first stage that you start in, is really good drum and bass tracks. Speaking of good music, shall we talk about Keiichi Okabe and Yoko Taro's Drakengard 3? Which, yeah, that's going to be a series I'm going to be starting after this. Going from 1, and we're doing 2. Then we're gonna do Nier. And then my favorite, despite the fact that it runs like absolute ass on the original system, Drakengard 3. I know there's some people who might be asking why that one in particular. Why not Nier Automata? Why not the original Nier? I genuinely adore Zero as a character. I adore Zero. I definitely adore Mikhail. Mikhail is just a sweetheart. Mikhail is easily one of my favorite characters in the entire Drakengard franchise. Okay, to be fair, Final Song is absolute horseshit. Final Song is horseshit in both Drakengard 1 and 3, but we'll get to that whenever I start streaming that. That is a horror that people will have to accept when we get to it. But yeah, my love for Drakengard 3 is entirely just, I love the cast and the chemistry they have. I love the Intoner sisters and their general thematics, especially when it comes to the DLC and flipping what your initial perspectives are on their head. It's overall just a very interesting turn on what Yoko Taro's normal deconstruction themes are. Hi, Woodsman! Hey, yeah, what do you think of my new model? And don't I look great? Anyway, let's move on. Fifth favorite. Mech Warrior 4 Mercenaries. Do I even need to explain why I like this one? Giant robots plus customization. Fuck yeah. I don't think I even need to go in depth with that. The only problem, and the only reason I haven't streamed Mech Warrior 4 already, is I cannot get the fucking game to run on modern systems. And I'm still having trouble trying to get the virtual machine to actually have the proper configuration in order to run it again. It sucks, because I love that game. And then, a true Chat of Chad's pick. One of Sparty's favorites, I definitely know that. Command & Conquer Red Alert 2. God damn it, Sparty. Oh yeah, by the way, I don't know if anybody's done it or noticed it yet. Somebody hit one of the new emotes that I put on. Because there's something special that we can do now that I've switched over to the VTube Studio. Yeah, while I'm waiting on that. Yeah, you see how you do emotes and they drop now? And just like all of the emotes that Fungi made for me are just so good. Yeah, having fun, everybody. Yuri's Revenge is probably one of the best expansion packs ever made. But Red Alert 2, just overall a very solid strategy game. Absolutely one of the best Command & Conquer. Oh, God damn it, this thing.
These men are pawns. I put the price of 20,000 dirham on their heads. Next, they will be hailed as the true messenger of God.
They were just a couple of
I have to stop the music so this thing can have
break into show business.
Oh, no, don't go to anime yet. We were still on game.
He is, but he's in perfect condition.
So how do they wind up on everyone's?
This is an actual trailer, by the way.
Behave normally. We have guns pointed at your back. No, don't put your hands up, you idiot.
Oh, little darling. My little darling.
What else is there to say about Red Alert 2? Oh yeah, Frank Lepacki's soundtrack. Absolutely like the best part of Command & Conquer in general is just Frank Lepacki's work on it. It is so good. Like, honestly, hands down, one of the biggest reasons why I got into industrial as a genre is Frank Lepacki.
Are the two American messengers of God dead yet?
Is this the oasis?
Does this look like an oasis to you?
Yeah, look at the birds.
Who texted me?
Are those vultures?
No, Ryan, I just saw it.
He's aiming at it. Will you stop being paranoid?
Bang!
Run, Smuck! They're trying to kill us.
We need to watch Ishtar and Aeon one of these days.
Isabella Johnny.
Your girl.
You guys having fun with the emotes now, huh?
Be your girl.
Also, I didn't know that cursed was an option, Sparty. When did you discover that? What is the creepypasta bullshit that you somehow managed to figure out how to do? Sparty discovering things I never knew about all the time. Let's start off from here. There we go. Alright, so back to the games. So, Ratchet & Clank. Everybody loves Ratchet & Clank, right? PS2 games are obviously the best of the bat. And of those, I think that Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal is the best. And by the way, can I say that I'm still disappointed that Sony said no when Insomniac tried to name a game Ratchet & Clank Clock Blockers? I still think that's a shame. But yeah, I think the control scheme is at its best in Ratchet and Clank 3. I think the multiplayer was really fun. I would really love to have it back. I would love to have Conquer Live and Reloaded's multiplayer back, but I'm not going to hold out on that one. By the way, a game that's actually been ported to every single system ever. You guys like Bust-A-Move? Or Puzzle Bobble? Or, I think those are the only two titles for it. Taito is normally better about that. But yeah, game that I suck at but adore. Bust-A-Move / Puzzle Bobble. And also a game that I'm probably going to also have to stream at some point, and I will do when I have the new controllers for it. Because I just got the money for buying a new controller. We gotta do Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. Because Rare's golden era was hands down in the N64. Even if Donkey Kong 64 was... I mean, at the very least, Donkey Kong 64 isn't Jet Force Gemini. Hey, I got the thing from Elena. Thank you, Elena. Yeah, there we go. Donkey Kong 64 was a game. That's the best way to describe Donkey Kong 64. Greg Kirkhope still did really good music for it. Anyway, let's go on to anime. Let's see how many titles people recognize, because I feel like there's going to be... I don't know. I think all of these are fairly well-known titles. Let's start with the top left. Getter. Watch Getter. Watch Getter Robo. Elena. Truly you are my bro. Okay, yeah, Darker Than Black is probably the most obscure of the bat. The one that I specifically picked as my favorite Getter series is Getter Robo Armageddon. And yeah, I ended up doing Shin Getter because that was like the closest I could find for the cover art for that. But yeah, go watch Getter Robo. Getter Robo Armageddon is hands down one of the best entry points. Some of the newer series are also really good, but I'd highly recommend reading the manga. Because the manga just goes all out to levels that are absolutely insane. Secondly, let's talk about Space Battleship Yamato, an absolute classic. Honestly, either version of the Space Battleship Yamato story works out. The reason why I put $21.99 over the original version of it is because I feel like the animation benefits, even though it's CG, and I know people don't like CG. But I think it ultimately helps demonstrate how absolutely god-fucking powerful the Yamato is, and how horrifying the destruction is. Yeah, Sparty, I have Helsing on here. Who do you think I am? Honestly, I was debating between Helsing or Drifter. Knowledge of all of these mecha anime from Super Robot Wars. There's no reason to be sorry, to be fair. Super Robot Wars is fun. I enjoy Super Robot Wars. But yeah, let's talk about Kota Hirano's work and his honestly really good artwork combined with very, very bizarre sense of humor. Like, by the way, if your primary reference lens for Helsing is Helsing Ultimate Abridged, to give you a point of how absolutely bizarre Kota Hirano's sense of humor is, they cut out all the comedy bits from Helsing Ultimate Abridged because it was that weird. Even then, Helsing Ultimate cut out a lot of the weird comedy bits, and it's kind of a shame. One of my favorite moments in the early chapters is right before they meet Alexander Anderson for the first time. Saris is going absolutely berserk on the ghouls that are upstairs. Meanwhile, Alucard is like downstairs sitting on some stairs, just going, yeah, she's having fun. She's gonna be a good vampire. Some ghoul ends up walking up, just sulking up to him. And he just has this look on his face before pulling out one of the, before pulling out the Kazul, and just popping it right in the head with like this really weird super deformed style. Because that's just Kota Hirano. He does that. Then we... Hey, nickname. Anyway, by the way, I've lost it. I know I can kill. The truth exists beyond the gate. Watch the first season of Darker Than Black. It's great. Maybe not the second season, but honestly, there's still some good parts in it. Darker Than Black is just really fun. Again, really good soundtrack. It's going to be the... I feel like me complimenting the soundtrack of something is going to be one of the most reoccurring bits of today. Bruce Willis is in. You had Bruce Willis, you had one of the James Bonds, you had Baron Harkonnen portraying the Harkonnen for Ceres's dream sequence. Hellsing was weird. Darker Than Black is also weird, but it's a fun ride. Go watch it. Speaking of fun rides, let's talk about Bacano. It's 1930s-ass plot. Like, height of the Prohibition-era mobster storyline. And let's make it completely bizarre with alchemy. By the way, this is the same guy who wrote Durarara. And also, something I'm really excited about is he's currently working with animation studios to actually make an adaptation of Fate Strange Fake, which is one of my favorite Fate stories. So, yay! I'm super excited. Up next on the list, let's talk about Gundam and how this was probably the hardest choice in the batch that I had to make. Because there are so many good Gundams, and I only wanted to limit myself to like one per franchise if I was doing a 3x3. I was debating doing G Gundam, because G Gundam is just a wild ride, but it's absolutely hilarious stereotype Gundam. Entirely because its G Gundam's director did not give a fuck and is probably one of the best cases of malicious compliance I have ever seen. Other option I was debating on was Double O Gundam, mostly because I adore Lakanna's character. And Setsuna F-Sei is just one of the best autism characters ever made. But, nah, Zeta Gundam. This is Zeta Gundam. Reason I picked Zeta Gundam is I think the interactions between... Did I call him Char or should I call him Quattro for those? Do I keep up the bit? Nah. I think the interactions between Char, Amuro, Bright, and Camille are just absolutely amazing throughout the entire series. I think it's a good response to the original, or to the themes of the original Mobile Suit Gundam series. Its ending is very, very depressing. I'll say that as a warning. But Char, yeah, Quattro. Caught me off guard, god damn it. That next one on the list. Do I even have to say anything about Cromartie other than go watch it? I feel like Cromartie is one of the best translations of a Japanese god manga. Quattro, stick the butt here. Fair enough, fair enough. What kind of... Char, seriously, what kind of name is Quattro Batina? What were you thinking of that one? Cromartie High School, just go watch it. That's all I'm gonna say on that one. Go watch Cromartie. Go read the manga, too. Gintama... let's talk about my love for historical settings made incredibly weird. I think Gintama here makes up for not having drifters earlier. Cromartie's English dub, yeah, is the best case scenario of trying to translate a Japanese GOG series. Mostly because Cromartie's sense of humor is already really surreal, which is honestly the most translatable kind of humor. God forbid you have something with a lot of puns, because that's just impossible to translate. By the way, I also like Sayonara Setsubo Sensei. The only reason Sayonara Setsubo Sensei isn't here is because it's impossible to translate. I feel like, Freddy's singing. I like how I tried to go to Gintama and then we just immediately went back to Cromartie. Yeah, Gintama is also a really good series. Especially... Sayonara Setsubo Sensei's openings are hands down the best part of Sayonara Setsubo Sensei. Like, the musicians that they got to do for the openings are... here I am complimenting the soundtrack and stuff. Yeah. If I was able to get the Gintama soundtrack, I'd be using that a lot too. Gintama is such a weird series on premise alone because it's the Bakufu era Japan, but also it's a sci-fi setting because aliens, which are supposed to be an analog for, you know, all of the Western, I'm trying to think of what the best way to put it is. But basically, it was supposed to be the foreign influence that was steadily taking over Japan during that time period, and how they dealt with it. And then they make everybody into a gag manga character. Especially the Shinsengumi, who are hands down like the weirdest characters of the batch of an already weird cast of characters. Except for maybe Katsura. Katsura is like the only character that tops the Shinsengumi for how absolutely bizarre he is. And he's taken seriously as a villain first, too. By the way, Samurai Champloo. Zuro janai, Katsura desu. God, I was playing Yakuza, or I was playing Like a Dragon Ishin. I swear to God, every single time Akiyama as Katsura ended up showing up on the screen, all I could fucking hear every single time he talked was Akiyama janai, Katsura desu. Oh yeah, go watch Samurai Champloo. Go watch Cowboy Bebop too. And Space Dandy. Do I even need to say more than that? Because, I mean, regardless of which series I picked by the man, I was going to have to say every single one of them. Zealous on Samurai. Okay, let me tell you about its amazing visual style, the dynamics, or the absolute chemistry between the cast, whether it be Mugen or the other two whose names I can't remember right now because it's been a while since I watched Samurai Champloo. The absolutely amazing soundtrack, which is the entire reason I started listening to Nujabes. Step pure enough. Just talk about the baseball. I forgot about the baseball episode. But no, go watch Samurai Champloo, go watch Cowboy Bebop, go watch Space Dandy. The only reason all three of them aren't here is because I only wanted one series at a time per franchise or director. And if I did more than that, it would be cheating. Let's go on to the next slide. Let's talk about best movies. Let's talk about Down Periscope and how, despite the fact that it's kind of a Midland movie, it's one of my favorite comedies ever produced. Because I am into weirdo military shenanigans. Cannot explain why. I just love it. Especially when it's like boomer-ass captains and officers that are basically fighter mafia cocksuckers getting their asses owned. And yeah, the most accurate representation of a subcrew being outcasts and retards. Or, excuse me. Outcasts and morons, all put onto a single submarine, shoved way, way underwater, and then coming together as a ragtag band of absolute lads. By the way, let's talk about Starship Troopers too. And how it's probably one of the most misunderstood satire movies of all time. Like, I still think people point it out as fascist propaganda. And the book too. Even though I think in the book's case, while it was legitimately the author idolizing the military, it wasn't to the point of fascism like people like to point at. I'm doing my part. Yeah, that's the Paul Verhoeven. There is a very distinct style of Paul Verhoeven that honestly Starship Troopers excels at. And I feel like I probably could have put RoboCop here as well, and it would fit just as well. Also, let's talk about Redline. You guys like Redline? And its amazing soundtrack. There's that phrase again. Redline, its amazing soundtrack, and its amazing cast of characters. And it's absolutely gorgeous animation that nearly bankrupted Madhouse as a studio. There's just a lot of positive to say about Redline. It's probably one of my favorite turn your brain off movies. It still actually has like really good thematics to deconstruct as you go through it. Especially in regards to like when there's actually plot and intrigue going on in the background. And you're exploring like all of these planets in War World as a political system. Did you get that missing in the coffee? Yeah, Redline is a good movie. No Country for Old Men is a good movie, and I feel like saying anything about it would be kind of spoilers. But I feel like No Country for Old Men is probably one of the best cases of making a modern Western movie. Spelled DG, that must mean that gay. I mean, I am gay. Yeah, I am a very loving, very homosexual dragon. Oh, here's the question. Center of my 3x3 here. Does anybody know what movie that is? Because you may recognize a certain someone there. And this is one of his movies in the prime. Or one of his movies made in his prime. It's Meals on Wheels. Or Wheels on Meals. Wheels on... I keep mixing up the title. Wheels on Meal is probably one of Jackie Chan's best movies altogether. Like, in terms of its comedy bits, its action, its how everything ties together. The plot is basically an excuse plot, but... do you really watch Jackie Chan movies for the plot? Let's be honest. Speaking of, let's talk about Snatch and how it's an absolute cluster. But what's it called? Meals on Wheels, because the director didn't want a movie starting with M. That sounds about right. Let's talk about Snatch. Again, amazing cast of characters, great soundtrack. Probably one of the best examples of Guy Ritchie's overall directorial style. I feel like it's a movie that you could just watch over and over again and catch something new every single time. And again, this is a movie that we're probably going to have to watch on Aeon at some point or another. Like every other movie on this list, honestly. By the way, let's talk about Blade Runner and how it's probably one of the best adaptations of Philip K. Dick story. If you don't know, the movie is an adaptation of the Philip K. Dick's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Ultimately, a huge, what's the best word? Insight into what makes someone human and artificial intelligence. The only thing is, I would say don't watch the director's cut. There's one other version of the movie that's honestly a lot better, but if the overall point of the movie that you get is that the main character was actually a Sith, no. That's not... That's the problem with Blade Runner, is that there's so many different versions, and honestly, some of the versions kind of miss the point of the story. but also Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Let's talk about Westerns. Let's go back to Westerns. Let's talk about spaghetti Westerns, which apparently was an absolute disaster on set to work on because, what the hell is compliance in Italian filmmaking? In which several of the stars almost died on set. But God, Ennio Morricone's soundtrack, Sergio Leone's directorial style, just the overall pacing of the story, where you have these three main characters whose actions ultimately don't mean shit to everything that's going on around them. Also, you know, Clint Eastwood being Clint Eastwood. It's not acting if their heart any ribs broken. I feel like that's a terrible standard to have, nickname. The spaghetti western revisionist westerns are probably some of the best westerns ever made. Although Fistful of Dollars specifically is just an out-and-out, I don't want to say rip-off because it does do its own things, but it's basically a retelling of what was that movie called? God, it's one of my favorite Akira Kurosawa movies, and I can't remember what the movie was called. God damn it. But yeah, it's just it's a Akira Kurosawa movie, but with cowboys instead of samurai. Which, I mean, honestly, if you ever watch a cowboy movie and a samurai movie back to back or side by side, you're basically watching the same thing. By the way, here's another martial arts movie with the martial artist, motherfucking Bruce Lee! And honestly, there was like I could have picked any of Bruce Lee's movies and it would have worked. And I just decided to go with Enter the Dragon because it's the movie. Anyway, next, let's talk about TV. By the way, welcome to Bottom Gear. I'll drive a silent electric car. James gives in to the voices and Hammond commits arson. Honestly, just take the top left as anything involving those three, whether it be Top Gear or Grand Tour. I do think Top Gear was overall much more fun, but Grand Tour also has really good bits, especially when they decided to just focus on doing the road trips. Twin Peaks is good. Twin Peaks is really, really good. It's probably one of the best things David Lynch has ever made. Go watch The Wire too, because it's like one of the best crime dramas ever made. Hey, Sparty would like this song. The problem is I feel like I really can't go that detailed into why I like the TV shows that I have, other than maybe Generation Kill and Downtown. Because I feel like if I went into depth, just actually let's skip ahead. Let's talk about the elephant in the room in the center there. I know. So Sherlock falls off hard, especially after the second season. But I do really, really enjoy the first two seasons of Sherlock. Everything past that is kind of Steve Moffat being Steve Moffat. But I do enjoy the first two seasons of Sherlock. Yeah, I should have made the red text more visible, honestly. Or positioned it a bit lower. They do like Brothers Grimm too. I haven't watched Brothers Grimm actually. By the way, let's talk about Downtown. Let's talk about Gaki no Tsukai. And how that's like one of the best Japanese variety shows ever made. Like between the with the chemistry of the Downtown duo, you got Kokoriko and Jose all together. You have the absolutely amazing New Year's Batsu games that got produced until recently. Even when they really, really probably should have stopped doing it because they were way too old to constantly take that abuse to their ass. Old men making poor decisions. Yeah, that's the best way to describe the later boxing game. Honestly, some of the earlier boxing games do. The Absolutely Tasty series, where they're constantly making abhorrent abominations just to see whether or not they taste good. Taikiku discriminates specifically on Tanaka. We already talked about Twin Peaks and how Paul should go watch it. Band of Brothers and Generation Kill are probably the best TV shows to watch if you're interested in military history at all. Band of Brothers is specifically World War II, specifically the lead up to the goddamn. I'm trying to talk here. Anyway, Band of Brothers is specifically the lead up to the Battle of the Bulge. Meanwhile, Generation Kill is like the opening week of the second visit that we had to Iraq. You know, the actual Iraq War rather than the Persian Gulf War. But both are extremely interesting in terms of like military action, how the various groups dealt with trauma. It just highly recommended. By the way, let's go into books. Actually, no, hold on. There's one other thing I need to address. Go. Party, please. What I'm going to say is go watch Thunderbolt Fantasy. Just all of it. All of it. All of it. It's Gen Urobuchi, hands down one of Gen Urobuchi's best work, and this is coming from somebody who adored Fate Zero. If you like Madoka Magica, go watch Thunderbolt Fantasy. If you like Psychopaths, go watch Thunderbolt Fantasy. Yeah, and again, Thunderbolt Fantasy also has a really, really amazingly good soundtrack. But it's puppets. Get over yourself. Go watch Thunderbolt Fantasy. It's a good show. It's like what some of the best martial arts choreography I have seen in recent media. And it's puppets. But yeah, if you're ever in the mood for like good wushu, go watch Thunderbolt Fantasy. And that's just the moral today. Go watch Thunderbolt Fantasy. If it's been on any of the things that I've shown so far, other than maybe Sherlock. Sherlock is the one thing I'll say, yeah, you can pass on that one. But everything else, go watch it. Go watch it. Go watch it. Go watch it. Go play it. Go listen to it. Go read it. All of these. Every single one of them. Snow Crash, hands down, one of my favorite cyberpunk stories. Too much to watch because screw seasonal anime release. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, Snow Crash, would you believe that most of VR chat and almost every single, like, metaverse clone owes its existence entirely to Snow Crash? Ready Player One owes its existence to Snow Crash. Snow Crash is just overall just better Ready Player One. You want to know why? Because it doesn't deal with an evil corporation. Believe it or not, the mafia-owned mega corporation is actually one of the better entities in Snow Crash. You have a bot. Okay, let me describe. Let me set the scene real quick for the intro, and this is gonna sell you like all of Snow Crash. The intro, you're following a delivery boy for Cosa Nostra Pizza. As it is like unambiguously a mafia-owned pizza joint, where if the delivery boy is late, the Godfather will get into a helicopter, come to your house, and shoot the delivery boy on your driveway in apology for your pizza being late. God, I love Snow Crash. But yeah, the big thing that Snow Crash ultimately revolves around is a computer virus being used as a recreational drug. And the, what's the best way to put it? The ramifications that this development has. And this drug is corrupted because it starts being used to basically wipe people's memory and make them into disposable drones that this cartel group can use to their own whims. Meanwhile, you might notice a certain repeat visitor here, and this is like the one exception I'm making to my rule about no repeats. Go read Generation Kill. Go watch the show, go read the book. The book is directly from the perspective of the reporter that was tagging along with them in the show. There's also another book that I would recommend in tandem to Generation Kill, and that's Nathan Fick's One Bullet Away. The reason why is One Bullet Away is written from the perspective of the lieutenant that is depicted in Generation Kill. If you watch Generation Kill, you see the lieutenant who's constantly going, I am assured of this. I am assured of this. That's Nathan Fick. He's the one who wrote the other book. Having both of them side by side is remarkable in terms of forming an overall perspective about the opening days of the Iraq War. By the way, here's another elephant in the room. You may be wondering why Full Metal Panic is here and not in the anime section. It's because I prefer the Full Metal Panic books. Thor just sent me a DM apologizing for not being able to... Wait, are you saying that you want to be able to watch all the anime that I recommended, or are you saying that you don't have the energy to stay on the stream? Because if you need to go sleep, go sleep. Yeah. Okay, so it's just about the anime recommendation. Oh, okay. I mean, honestly, these are mostly just as a getting a general idea of what my interests are and what you can expect me to really, really like. Again, Full Metal Panic ends up occupying the I really, really like mecha. By the way, it's a romantic comedy too. It's a romantic comedy that opens up on a submarine where your main character is being threatened with recreating the Monty Python Ministry of Silly Walks bit because the PMC leader is pissed off at him. Yeah, if you don't feel like reading through like the actual series, the anime is still really good in its own right. If you finish off with the first season and you want more action, you go with Second Raid. If you want more comedy or romantic comedy bits, you go watch Fumoffu. Fumoffu, by the way, also has one of my favorite moments in Full Metal Panic, where you have like the entire fucking Mithril squad all dressed up in mascot outfits that are armored up to also double as exosuits. Which, by the way, apparently we're all actually fucking doing. But we'll get to Mountains of Madness, Marty. We'll get to Mountains of Madness. In the meantime, we have to talk about Dresden Files. Which, honestly, I'm kind of a sucker for urban fantasy in general. I was debating putting either Dresden Files or Discworld. And I forget the reason why I didn't put Discworld on there. Because Discworld is really, really good. Dresden Files is also really, really good if you like Wizards and Magic, stuff like that. The Iliad and the Odyssey is ultimately here to form a stopgap for my general interest in mythology and folklore. But you don't fuck with Buntakun. Buntakun is too strong. Buntakun is the best unit in Super Robot Wars, and I will not have an argument on this. The Iliad and the Odyssey is ultimately just here to effectively act as a cover for my general interest in folklore and mythology. I love reading about all of these origin stories that different cultures came up with, how they ended up explaining certain things working, or what they ended up using to justify aspects of their culture. I just find that super interesting in general, and honestly, that kind of forms my fabric. That forms my being in general. It's just, I love learning about people. Elena, the only thing I will accept as an argument for being as strong as Punta-kun is Galgagar, Keteromo, or Mazinger Z. Specifically Mazinger Zero. Anyway, remember when I talked about drugs being used as an allegory in Snow Crash? Let's go back to that with the Scanner Darkly. Here's another Philip K. Dick story, which also had a really good movie, by the way. It's like the movie that pioneered the use of rotoscoping. But Scanner Darkly is this awesome black comedy that explores drug usage and the drug war in general, and how it ultimately ended up effectively benefiting no one but corporations, honestly. Yeah, Scanner Darkly is a good read. Definitely a good watch as well. Mountains of Madness is probably one of my favorite Lovecraft short stories. Hi, Fungi! Dysinger, Race, and R1 get points as well. Fair enough. I would also add Demon Bane to that list, Elena. Anyway, Mountains of Madness is probably my favorite Lovecraft short story, and the one I would use to introduce people to his writing, especially his more horror-focused stuff. Lovecraft does get a bad reputation for especially his early works, where he's really, really uncomfortably xenophobic. However, especially when he gets to like his later era, when he starts working more in like dream worlds and stuff like that, he gets a lot better. And I've said this to Sparty before, and I think I've said this on Aeon before as well. One of the saddest things about Lovecraft as a person is when he's like finally getting over his rampant xenophobia and racism, starts working on more optimistic stuff, he just passes. It's just sad, because he died early too. Let's not be sad. Let's move on. By the way, another cyberpunk work, but the question is, can anybody identify what the cover is? Because you notice I don't have the title on it. I don't have the title on the one next to that too, but that's a web work. Hi, Makara! Anyway, Neuromancer by William Gibson, one of the pioneers for cyberpunk as a genre. Like, if it was not for William Gibson's Neuromancer, we would not have System Shock. We would not have Cyberpunk 2022 or 2077. We would not have Ghost in the Shell. Basically, almost all of everything that had like a near future sort of really urban hellscape environment focused on cybernetics and humans and technology becoming one and the same, ultimately owes its existence to William Gibson's Neuromancer and all of his collective works. It's also some really, really strange and bizarre depictions of weaponry and cybernetic interfaces. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, I would heavily recommend it. Finally, this one is kind of cheating because it's a web novel, but it did have a physical publisher as far as I know, and it also had a webcomic as well. Vanquir the Dragon, because of course the dragon would like another dragon. Vanquir the Dragon is actually a very interesting Western take on isekai, where it doesn't really dwell on the trapped in another world angle that much, but it does involve itself on a very heavily RPG-influenced fantasy world, where basically Dragon suddenly discovers, hey, all of these heroes are using these mechanics I didn't know about. And it all starts with the dragon getting access to the combat menu and its stat menu. It's just overall a very light, relaxing read. Honestly, I went to go reread it while I was absolutely just anxious, nervous, stressed out of my goddamn mind for the past week and a half. But it's just a very nice, light read. But let's not talk about reading anymore. Let's talk about favorite albums and how much of an absolute clusterfuck this list is. Because I think every single entry on this is going to cause a fight, except for maybe 2 of these. The name of it was Vanquer the Dragon. I'll put the name in chat. There we go. Anyway, loud dragon music. Yeah, let's talk about Queen Night at the Opera and how it's the best Queen album. Don't at me. I was actually debating if I was going to do Night at the Opera or one of the other Queen albums. Because I felt like having the album that had Bohemian Rhapsody on it might have been cheating. But the thing is, Bohemian Rhapsody isn't even the best song on that album. I still think, hands down, the best song on Night of the Opera is Death on Two Legs. But just the entire album is just banger after banger after banger. Although there are some very strange tracks. Seaside Rendezvous specifically pops out at me for just being very, very, totally... I'm trying to think of the correct word to put here. Totally a whiplash compared to what comes immediately before and after. But everything else on the album is just, oh my god, so good. Like I said, aforementioned Death on Two Legs. I'm in love with my car, which was apparently just a piss take at one of the other members of the band, because he was actually that engaged with his car. You have the ever-popular Bohemian Rhapsody on it. You have the Prophet song, which is just 7 fucking minutes of rocking as well. Like, Night at the Opera might as well be a prog rock album. It's a prog rock album disguised as an arena rock. Let's talk about Justice and how they're overall just an amazing French electronic group. Let's talk about how Cross is hands down one of the best albums they ever made, and I don't think anybody's gonna argue that one. Let's talk about the amazing introduction with Genesis, going from Genesis to DANCE as just this overall catchy dance tune. You got DVNO. You got Waters of fucking Nazareth being one of the most amazing electronic songs ever made. To the point where it gets mashed up with goddamn everything and works. Because Justice works with everything. Speaking of getting mashed up with everything, let's talk about Death Grip's Ex-Military. And I was honestly... This is one of the ones where I feel like there's going to be a fight on what the best Death Grips album is. Because if you ask somebody what the best Death Grips thing is they're either going to say Ex-Military or they're going to say Money Store. I think there might be some people who will say No Money Deep Love. But honestly, I ultimately decided on Ex-Military. Because Beware is an amazing intro. Follow that up immediately with Guillotine. Spread Eagle, Cross the Block. Tack. Beyond. Just banger after banger after banger, all of it just super good. Sabaton, same sort of thing, banger, 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 banger. Again, actually had a lot of difficulty deciding which album I wanted to put on here. Because for me, it was a choice between Great War and Heroes. Ultimately decided with Great War in this case. Mostly because of, what's the... I'm trying to think of what would the best song for me to pick here would be. Because there was a bunch of them on Great War. I think honestly, Attack on the Dead Men was the thing that sold me on Great War as an album. Because, like I said, it's just amazing track after amazing track. Going back to rap with the notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls himself, Life After Death. Because the man himself will tell you, he's got 7 Mac 11s, he's got 8 28s, 9 9s, 10 Mac 10s, the kids never end. And you can't touch his riches. Even if you had MC Hammer and then 357 bitches. But just, Biggie Smalls in general just has an amazing flow. I could have picked either of his main albums for this, honestly. Whether it be Life After Death or the other one that I can't remember the name of. But both of them were just really good. Pink Crimson in the Court of the Crimson King. What do I even say about Court of the Crimson King? It's a 21st century schizoid band. Epitaph. God. And then we go back to the argument. I wanted to put in a Rush album here, but which Rush album do I do? Because, let's see. Let's talk about Motion Pictures and how that was a really good album. Let's talk about Hemispheres and how that was really good. 2112. And then here I am, and I decided to pick Clockwork Angels because it's basically what I would want in a classic 70s, 80s band still keep making music into the 2010s. Clockwork Angels is legitimately a really, really good album, and if you haven't given it a listen, I would highly recommend it. Meanwhile, God, I am sad that Pendulum basically no longer exists, because Night Party just wasn't the same. Hold Your Color is an absolute masterpiece of a drum and bass album. I mean, from beginning to end, it's just, oh my God, so good. And then the other argument, I almost kind of felt like picking Jamiroquai here was kind of cheating. And I want to point out, I put this here before the virtual insanity thing became a meme. I had this fucking, I had this slide made. Or not the slide, but that 3x3 has been made for like a year and a half. I have the date that this file was made. Jamiroquai wasn't a meme yet. Jamiroquai wasn't a meme. And then like halfway through last year, it suddenly started becoming a meme. Canned Heat was always a meme, I'll be fair. Napoleon Dynamite basically ruined Canned Heat. But like, Virtual Insanity is a great song, but even then, like, Traveling Without Moving is just full of so many good songs. Yeah, Canned Heat was a meme during the 2000s because it was in Napoleon Dynamite. So you had like a bunch of internet things that were basically recreating the Napoleon Dynamite dance for Canned Heat. Anyway, moving onward, I have honorable mentions here because there are some things that I really, really adored that just didn't have... There wasn't enough thing for me to make a dedicated 3x3 for. So, for this, I just want to talk about like a couple of webcomics that have been keeping me alive for the past week and a half. I've been recently rereading through Out of Placers, which, by the way, had an update today, which I was not expecting. But Out of Placers is actually a very interesting fantasy setting due to how it effectively portrays all of its characters and species in, and how ultimately they mesh together as a society. You have the main character, Kassan, who is a gender-bent and also species-changed character. From male human to a female yinglet, which is this weird little rat bird thing. And basically having to deal with suddenly diminished intelligence, having to deal with organs that he didn't have before, missing his other organs as a result. And just the constant anxiety and stress that he, as a character, experiences because of that. You have Bizlet, who is just an absolute Chad of a matriarch. Isher, who is adorable. Gannett, who is also adorable. Kalker, who is the, oh god. Yeah, so, for those who have been in the Aeon Discord and have seen, like, the occasional out-of-placer scripts that I've been placing in the memes channel, Kalker is the big snake worm thing with the big claws that was basically acting as a guard for the market. His introduction is him getting scared over a tiny little bug landing on him. And then screaming so loud that he wakes up like the entire settlement of Valsalia. So as punishment duty, he gets assigned to God, why am I having so much trouble with words right now? But Cal gets public service for 2 weeks as a result. All of this because he got scared. So you have this anxious wreck of a huge thing acting as guard on his first day, and then, well, yeah, you saw today's script. Poor thing. If I'm mentioning webcomics as well, it's also remiss for me to mention VG Cats, which, while it hasn't aged well, like, seriously, VG Cats has aged like shit. However, it was like a major part of my formative years on the internet. Ultimately, it was one of the first, the VG Cats forums was one of the first major communities that I consider myself a part of, even if I was mostly just lurking on the forums. And honestly, it would be remiss for me to not mention it because it is a huge factor in why I'm doing what I'm doing. Speaking of what I'm doing, for those who are not in the know or just tuning in for the first time and wondering what the fuck this Aeon thing is that keeps getting mentioned across my channel or Ferris's channel or Blue's channel or Vicky's channel or Polyps or Gas. Yeah, let's talk about Aeon. So for those who were not part of it back in the day, 4chan used to have these old streaming communities. Vinesauce was one of the absolute biggest of them, and kind of one of the only ones that still remain. Most of the other ones are either inactive, or they're underground, or they're not really worth mentioning for various reasons. Let's not talk about TPM or Eva's Icon, can we? Just don't mention those things. But basically what Aeon is sort of a throwback to that early concept of streamer community, or streamer collective, where it's effectively individuals coming together to host their communities all together. So while we may not ever reach the same heights that Joel and Vinny have, I think ultimately bringing that format back to a more modern standard will ultimately allow people to have a home. Or if not a home, at least people to call or count themselves. But coming to an end of this whole slideshow, and yeah, I'm kind of glad that I put this down because I am starting to get emotional after saying that. Just thank you so much to everyone who's been part of Aeon or Tatstream or just any of the communities that I've been actively involved in. Because it's been a rough week and a half for me, like leading up to this. Just the nerves, the anxiety, just constantly eating away at me. And I appreciate all the support and I appreciate support and the love from family members, from personal friends, to just all of you. Thank you so much for being a part. I'm just really glad that I'm really glad that I managed to make it at least here. And hopefully we can take this and keep it rolling. Make it even better. Oh, love the dragon, hug the dragon. Please, the dragon needs hugs. But that's the end of the slideshow. That's all I have for you guys, so that's enough talking. I'm about to...